It's good. Someone said,
Hmm.
can't wait to see Jake on BobaTalks. What is that? What are you doing on BobaTalks?
The interview is here. It is finally here, guys, and I don't want to waste any time because we get in some very, very interesting stuff. So roll the intro. How's it going, Starlings? Welcome back to a brand new Stargirl video, and if you couldn't tell already, and if you watched my review for episode 10, which some of you may have seen on the CW last night, and if that's the case, then I feel bad for you because I've been dealing with those emotions for a couple of days. But as a lot of you know, right at the beginning of that breakdown, I said that I was hosting an interview with Jake Austin Walker himself, Brainwave Jr, right after the titled episode. And yeah, I said maybe Friday, but we did it a little bit earlier. And this just goes hand in hand coming out today after last night's episode, which a lot of you would have seen on the CW. And trust me, this is more of a podcast format, if you know what I mean, because it's quite a long interview, but you're going to want to stick around for it. And that's just not me trying to convince you. There's genuinely great questions in there. So obviously we talk about that death and the possibility of any return, if you know what I mean, and all that good stuff. But also, you know, what about the move to CW? A lot of you guys are concerned about that, the quality of DC Universe, and what does Jake Austin Walker himself think about that production moving to the CW and if it could affect the show. Now, some of you DC Universe fans as well who've been paying attention to it ever since its kind of inception, you'll know that there was a big rumor about him playing Wally West. We talk about that. A whole bunch of things, guys. He made it very, very easy for me to talk to him, and believe it or not, I suffer with quite a bit of performance anxiety, so it was just great. I really, really appreciated this time to talk to him, and also stick around to the very end of the video for a special announcement. Another one, believe it or not. It's definitely worth sticking around for, especially for those Doom Patrol fans. But also I want to talk about a bit more about Jake and some stuff we got into in the interview, and of course some of your questions feature in the video. So yeah, without further ado, guys, I'm sorry to drag out this intro, just very excited for this opportunity, but let's get into it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. Before we dive into everything, how have you coped with the whole pandemic the past few months? You know, I can imagine the success of Stargirl has helped, though.
Yeah, it's been crazy, man, because we shot, obviously, you know, we started in March of last year, and it kept kind of going through the rounds of, like, we didn't know when it was officially going to come out. Like, the dates were really skewed because we were still figuring out the DC Universe thing, right? Like, because when we were first doing it, it wasn't going to be a CW show, so we were still figuring all that out. But it actually came at the perfect time. I think it's really beneficial for us. Um, you know, I hate saying that during a pandemic. It's not beneficial for
No, of
anyone. But I'm
course,
saying,
yeah.
like, it's beneficial in the idea that, like, everyone's at home and needs something to distract themselves with. And I think Stargirl is, like, you know, I'm biased, but I think it's like one of the perfect shows to distract yourself with. I think it really helped in our favor. As far as me, man, I wasn't the biggest reader when I was younger,
Yeah, me too.
and I picked up on it like about 5 years ago. It became like an obsessive hobby, and so that's what I've just been really doing, man. It's just like reading, and I'm a musician on the
Yep.
side as well. So
I
just
mean to
kind of,
ask you about that later.
yeah, man, yeah. I love to talk about it, but yeah, I mean, I've just been trying to keep busy, man. You know, working out and trying just trying to stay busy, dude. It's so hard. I've definitely had my lazy weeks where I just didn't do anything and just basically played video games all day. Oh man,
Yeah.
Animal Crossing. I'm
Ah,
telling you, when Animal Crossing came out, I was all over that. I'm a huge gamer.
yeah.
Like, I say that all the time. Like, I can't stress enough. Like, gaming, comics, like that's like my, like, second life basically. So I mean, it's been a lot of gaming.
I've
Like, I
got
gotta
like
be honest,
60 hours into Animal Crossing myself so far.
dude. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then they just had that update where you can, like, go swimming
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's awesome.
Right. So as you know, I mean, I've got a few questions of my own, of course, but some of the
Yeah,
viewers from the YouTube channel have also submitted quite a few, so I'll pick some of those out afterwards. But
cool.
first of all, I have to tackle the latest episode. So first of all,
Yeah,
congratulations, seriously. But also,
thank you.
having said
Thank
that,
you.
that ending, like Jesus, like my first questions have to be about that. First of all, how did you feel when you read the script for the latest episode? Like, what was your instant reaction to that?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, you know, because Henry, what was so beautiful about the situation as an actor, I've never experienced this before. Henry kind of grew as a character to become this bigger thing than he was supposed to be.
Mhm.
As the season went on, they allowed me to do more and more, and then he became. I knew when I first met with Jeff, I knew it was gonna be. I knew his arc. Like I knew he was going to die, so it wasn't one of these situations where they're like, oh, here's the script and you're dying. Like it wasn't anything like that. Like I knew it. I just didn't know how we were gonna get there. I knew I was gonna fight my dad. I knew I was gonna help the JSA. I knew all about my mother. I knew the history of Brainwave Jr. I just didn't know how I was going to get there. And then when I first got that script, man, I mean, I remember that table read. Everyone, we were all crying. Like it was, you know, and it's also it's just a journey. You know what I mean? I mean, you're with these people for 6 months. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like
You all
I mean,
seem to get
this is
really
your-
close as well from the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't always happen with cast, and
Right.
you know, and that's not to say like the people are bad in the other cast. It's just like some people mesh it or they don't. And I mean, one thing we got really lucky with this cast is we be working 12, 13-hour days, and then literally go out and have some drinks and stuff like right after. Like we just, you know, we're inseparable. Everyone really till this day we still have like our own little screenings of every episode.
That's
and stuff.
fantastic.
Like I mean we love each other, man. It was definitely like a you know, you knew it was coming, you know, and even this whole week leading up, I've had this burning anxiety inside of me.
What
just as like
specifically, was that just like the reaction from fans, or was it just excitement on getting it out, would you say?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, you know, because I mean, Henry's first line is "smells like slut." So it's like part of me is thinking like, how like
yes.
you know, I know they've been building it up and people have become more fond of him, but it's like, are they really going to care? You know, like are they at the end of it, is he going to really justifiably change? And I knew that was so much of that was up to believing in what Henry felt in that moment and just making sure you could get as close to your characters and castmates as possible, right?
Yep. And it's funny. It's funny you say that because in my review yesterday, I literally said you don't really care too much about Henry's character, especially the way he comes across as that high school jockish type. But that's the thing, I think, as to why so many, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the comment section, but so many people have gone from one end to the other end. Just like, and I think that's what makes that so significant in the latest episode. A character comes across as a bit of a dick, but then someone you cry to within 8 episodes. And normally that's not achievable in such a short amount of time. So
no, it really isn't. And, you know, and you also gotta, you know, tilt your hat to the writing team and just the VFX and our director, Andy. And she just absolutely annihilated it. She killed it. And I was very lucky too, because this is the first, as an actor, one of the first jobs I've had where I just had so much creative freedom. You know what I mean? Like it was so cool. Just the last few, like I'd say like 7 through 10, when Henry's arc is really growing, I just had so much freedom to really deep dive into everything. And I mean that scene in the hospital when Henry and his dad are first connecting, and just like we got to spend so much time on that, like and in the hallway we spent basically days on some of those scenes. You know what I mean?
You wouldn't have thought they would dedicate so much time to a short scene, but that's really wicked to know.
Yeah. I mean, we spent like the hospital scene was a little bit bigger.
Yep.
I mean, I kind of I liked how they trimmed it down. There's a part of me that's hoping maybe if they like when they do the Blu-ray set or whatever, they'll leave the like full, because you know each episode was an hour before it hit CW. So there's like 15 minutes to 18 minutes of footage that's cut out of every single episode. I think it'd be really cool if they added in what was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's my thing. The stuff that was taken out wasn't really essential. It's just more like fan service. It's like, you know what I mean? So there's like, as a fan, there's a big part of me. It's like, oh, it'd be cool if they add stuff like this. But I was really, really happy. Like, I mean, and again, I'm biased, but I really think like they just blew 10 out of the out of the water,
seriously, that I don't want to sound like I'm shilling, but that is probably one of my favorite comic book TV show deaths out of all of the seasons of, you know, whether that's Arrow, where Tommy Merlin died in season 1, like this, that's what made it so special, honestly.
Well, man, what really like gave me chills too, because like as an actor, like I don't know, I hate watching myself. I hate I'm so critical. It was the first time I'd ever experienced something of a performance where I was genuinely like, holy crap. Like I wasn't watching myself anymore. I was in that like whole moment. I was so caught up. And it's been so beautiful because it's like you were saying, it's the crazy experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like Like my background is like I come from like the Sundance Channel and like Rectify and doing like drama shows and stuff like that. Like I'd never done anything like this, and I didn't know how it was going to come out. And so just seeing people hit me up and like some people have been like, dude, this is like top 3 deaths of all time. And I'm just like, it's crazy to me. Like I don't know. It's so weird being that staple for some people. You know, I'm so honored, you know, and I'm so glad it meant so much to people. And dude, I've just been having a field day seeing some of these reactions. It's killing me. Like I love it.
All of the comments in
so
my
weird.
video, I'd say like a good 70% of them are just genuinely like, I teared up, I cried, like Henry, no, like is he really dead? And we'll touch upon that kind of.
Yeah, I wish I had a video of when the cast and I first watched it at Brett's house, because everyone was just crying and I'm just sitting there like, so pumped.
And this, you know, this next question we've kind of already touched upon, because I was going to ask you when you first came a part of Stargirl, were you aware of where your character's going? You already said you knew that, but in terms of like that overall story arc, was it still like a more or less script to script basis of when you found out what was actually happening, or did you know what was happening in episode 8 or whatever? If that makes sense.
No, I mean you nailed it on the head. I had a rough outline of where Henry was going, but like I didn't know. For example, I didn't know Shiv and Cindy would be my girlfriend.
Right.
I didn't know Yolanda and I had a past. I didn't like none of that was talked about.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I didn't know for a long time that my mother was Gimmick Girl, that I was related to Starman. Like I didn't know. There's a lot of like little pieces as the episodes came along that I was just like, oh man, this is sick. Yeah.
And and
like I said, man,
I was gonna say, did you find out as of the week then, as of which episode you were gonna have to perform that, you know, moment with your dad in, so to speak?
Just about.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just about. I mean, that's just how it goes, man. Like you normally get it, if you're lucky, you get it towards the end of the previous episode, right? So if you're about to start 8, then you'll get the script to 8 around day 7 out of 9 of episode 7. You know what I mean? Like, and it's basically like that's how they do it. Sometimes a little sooner, but most of the time it's just like, I mean, you have your studio draft, and then you have your production draft, and then you have your draft that like the set sees and the cast sees, and then you have your blue rewrite, your yellow rewrite. Like it just keeps going, you know? Like sometimes it can just like, so, and that's a huge thing. Sometimes you'll get the studio draft and scenes you were really excited for are completely gone by the time you guys are filming. So it's like you can't get too attached to anything. You really have to like, and I'm a big journaler. Like I love journaling about a character and just kind of like, but you have to be very careful with it, especially on series, because a movie, it's like I know how it's going to start, I know how it's going to end, right? I know, so I can right away. But with the character, it's like next episode you could be going completely polar opposite.
It's constantly in flux.
Set for yourself. Yeah, man, it's definitely an obstacle course. It's fun though. I love it.
I think fans will really appreciate that, like little insight into the you know, the workings of, you know, just how it happens on a TV show for an actor and a character.
Oh, I love talking about it, man. I love talking about it, and I also love like trying to rip the glamour and stuff from it. You know what I mean? Because it it definitely like it's definitely a job. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go as far to say I'm doing like hard labor stuff or anything like that. I would never, you know what I mean? It's a very luxurious job, but at the same time, it is that like constant, you know, you don't really know what's going to happen sometimes. You don't know when you get your scripts what they're going to end up being, or you don't know how many hours on the day you're going to have for that scene. Like when you just got to always show up ready, you know, like you got to just be ready to go and ready to take whatever's coming. You know what I mean?
So, so some fans, understandably, after this episode, and I know, I mean, as of when we're recording this right now, everyone's going to see it on CW tonight, right? I believe it is, tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, just the response from DC alone has been nuts. So I'm really interested to see what.
This is like an interesting kind of thing, because some people haven't seen it, and we're already talking about this now. So for those people, you know, who've been asking about it in submissions, because there's a lot of them, a typical question of, you know, is he really dead? And obviously, you do not have to answer that about any return, but this does lead me to think about a bigger question that comes from that. You know, one example being a theory in how we all know a certain character named Dragon King likes to experiment upon people, and technically it would be possible to kind of revive Henry in a similar way to his underlings. But then again, some fans may feel like that could take away from the significance of the moment from Henry's death. So I want to know how you feel about that, and view any kind of possible return in the future, considering, and you already know the feedback from that moment, very significant, sentimental. Do you think it takes away from those moments, or do you think there can be future for characters in these situations? It's bittersweet almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very bittersweet, but I personally, I don't know. I've always been one where it's like, if you're gonna kill someone off, you don't bring them back unless it is just like, oh my god, you know what I mean? And so,
well, that's what I was saying in my video, because I agree with that, but like, it's Brainwave Jr. had so much potential, so it's just like, it stings at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet, but my thing is like, let's go on record saying I'm not against coming back. I'm not against coming back at all. I would love to step in the shoes of Henry, and as far as Jake Walker actor knows, like Henry's dead. You know what I mean? I hate to break the fan's heart, but like Henry's, and I'm very at peace with it myself. If that makes anybody feel better, like I'm not hurting. Like I've had a lot of time to come to terms with his journey, but yeah, I mean, in regarding that, if they wanted to bring Henry back, and this is all theory, I have no idea.
Yeah, totally.
But if they wanted to bring Henry back, I would just really hope it's something so integral to his story, right? Like he comes back to help the team, or he comes back evil and they have to like make him good, or like it has to be something that's just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like he is the season's like thing to figure out, or something like that.
Anything less would just take away from that, you know, whopping moment at the end of the episode, and that it's almost a disservice to what you did in that scene with Brainwave.
No, completely. You know, I've always thought about that. It's like I'm a big like Star Wars fan, right? And I wasn't the biggest fan of how they brought Palpatine back. Like,
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, dude. We could talk about this for hours.
But that's what I'm saying. It was like that same situation. You know what I mean? Yeah. And look. I mean, for fan service and stuff, too, it's very split. Some people are cool about it, but that's like a big example in my mind. Like that's kind of where I sit. Like, you know what I mean? It's like if they would have brought, essentially, it's like, had they not brought him back, it's like, would they have been compelled to make a bigger story or different? You know what I mean? It's like, I also don't want to come back just for the sake of fan service, because I think it kind of has a reverse effect.
Well, that just shows how much you care about your character as well, and you're not just going in wanting another, you know, episode or a season or whatever. And that's, you know,
nah, man, it's not a paycheck. I care about Henry, man. He's the coolest character I've ever got to play. You know, so yeah, like I love him so much. Like, and I say all this as a fan. You know what I mean? Like I say it as a fan of this material, of the comic world and everything. Like I do know it's the comic world. I do know people magically come back to life. I mean, I think Jason Todd's died like 40 times. But I know people can come back, and I'm very willing. I would just, you know, really hope if it is, you know.
What I was thinking, as I said, like Dragon King brings him back, and they wield Henry as like a, you know, like how Cindy is, you know, and the team have to try and rescue him, and that could be a nice season-long arc. And then season 3, you finally get your Brainwave Jr. suit once you've come back. That is, you know. That would be good. I would be willing, like, for me as a fan, with everything you know on my stance on the subject, that would be fine. That would be fine. That wouldn't take away from that moment, because your character would be changed. You know, your Dragon King would have changed you. So that's not your character's fault, is it? So.
Right. It's not. And I mean, look, wishful thinking wise, that's always been like where I personally would probably go with it. It would be really cool too, and that's just such a gut punch to the fans to have to deal with Henry being so powerful and also evil at the same time. Yeah.
So, another question, you know, talking about, you know, you say comic books, you love Henry, but I had to include this because I've even covered it myself, and this goes back to the infancy of DC Universe, and I don't know if you're expecting this question, but a lot of fans over the past couple of years have noticed a certain rumor along the, you know, as I said, the course of DC Universe, way before Stargirl even came out, about you possibly playing Wally West in Titans, or even Stargirl somehow. Did you ever hear about that, and what did you think about it at the time?
Yeah, man. Oh man. Well, it was so funny because I'm a big manifestation guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm really big. Like if you think it's gonna happen, you stick to it.
Yeah.
And so I like to go on Twitter. Like I feel like Twitter is like my basically my manifestation
Yeah.
board, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, but I went on Twitter a few years ago and I posted Wally, you know,
Okay.
and this was way before Stargirl. This is way before
I'm
Stargirl.
guessing it kind
I
of
posted
combined with some inner rumors of you know, contacting DC Universe
exactly.
back and forth, and people put two and two together.
Yeah, so I tagged DC, and I was like, I would love to play Wally West someday, and this was in like 2017.
Okay.
And then the casting announcement came out for DC Universe like a year later, and someone found that tweet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all right, kids. Remember what you tweeted is there. But they found that tweet, and they're just like, he's gonna play Wally West. I
Yeah.
know it. You know.
I literally remember covering that in the video, just saying, "Oh, you never know." I mean, he looks the part. He literally looks the part. You never know.
Yeah, it was so heartbreaking for like I felt bad for the fans because obviously there's everything inside of me that wanted to be like, you know, guys, no, the character I'm playing is still sick, but you know, no, because I do have a lot of love for Wally, and I still think in maybe an alternate universe it'd be amazing to play him because I love his character, but as far as powers go.
Ooh.
I love my powers the most. I've always said like telepathy and mind reading. That's always been like, and technically Brainwave Jr. can fly in the comics.
Yeah,
we never got to that.
Yeah, because you could totally
fly. He's got like everything.
Levitate yourself. Yeah, and yeah, no, totally. I didn't want to take away from the amazing fruition that you brought to Brainwave Jr. But that one was just for those all those guys who have been hunting that question since DC Universe.
I was with him on that journey that whole time. I felt so bad. I wanted to tell people so badly so they didn't get too worked up. I just remember the funniest thing is so many people hit me up after the pilot and they're like, dude, what the hell? Like we were so ready for you to be Wally and come and slut shaming someone.
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
man, like it was so funny. Yeah, because Henry, like what was really funny is maybe people just lost the information or something.
Yeah.
But even when the show first came out for a little bit, I still had people hit me up like, is Henry just your alias and stuff like that? I was like,
wow.
guys, you gotta let it go.
Yeah, you do get some fans out there who really, really do dive in. I mean, they think Ben Affleck's coming back, and he's really done with that role kind of thing. People don't give up on something they're very passionate about kind of thing. Hey, I mean, it's a credit to you. They liked the look of you as Wally.
Yeah, man, I'll take it. And in another world, like I said, I would always love to play Wally. I love his character so much.
And I know we've kind of already touched upon this as well, but like Brainwave Jr. is a very interesting character given the family legacy. But I know you're into comics and obviously you knew the arc, but was there anything else you did to prepare for the role? Because, did you draw any inspiration from specific material, or was it just more about feeling out the character from the comics, seeing what he was about, and giving your own spin on it, if you will?
Well, yeah, I think it's a middle ground. When I first found out about the character, I basically went and got all the Infinity Inc. stuff and just kind of figured out everything that went on with him, how, he eventually consumed his dad's conscious and he eventually got out of the realm and his dad sacrificed himself and all that stuff. And so and then he eventually goes crazy, you know what I mean? When Mr. Mind gets in him and he eventually loses himself. And so I did a lot of research with that. And then also he was just easy to relate to because there's certain aspects of his life and my personal life that kind of parallel each other.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of just a lot of pooling from kind of my own emotional damage as a human being, and kind of replicating it or trying to find a way to kind of combine it. And also, man, I just had I was so lucky. I could hit up Jeff whenever I wanted.
Oh, that's so cool.
I could literally he was always. He's literally the sweetest guy. He was always, and I'm not a smoke blower. I'm being serious. He's just I gained nothing from saying it, but he literally is just such a nice guy. And any question I had, I could text him, call him, and he'd be willing to sit there and break it all down for me. And then Christopher James Bigger plays my father, Brainwave, just insane.
That's just what I love hearing.
I know he's sinister, but he's just the sweetest man in the world. We every scene we got to do, we just would always just sit there and try different things and be like, let's try this, let's give it this, it really was.
They thought Icicle was bad because of what he's done so far, but now it's okay, this dude killed his wife and now his son is holy. Brainwave's kind of the worst. Not Jordan, dude, at the minute anyway.
He's evil. Straight up evil. And Christopher being such a rad guy, he played just such a sinister. I mean, oof, he's so good.
I love the way they kind of
But
did
yeah,
the spin
so-
on the suit as well, because it's still like that green robe, but it's like an overcoat. It's a modernized version.
Dude, it's so badass. And then you were saying also, because I'm like a diehard Spidey fan.
Okay.
One thing that the Henrys always reminded me of are the Osborns.
Oh, that's a good. That is a good comparison. You know.
Yeah, Norman, and Harry. Yeah, so it always kind of gave me that sort of vibe too, in the best way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both their own thing,
Mhm.
but it still gave me that sort of, you know, I mean, because it is true. It's literally like Courtney says. I mean, going into it, Henry. My biggest thing with Henry is he's someone that's never experienced love. Period.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
oh man, and that
Like-
scene where I loved your reaction when you know, Brainwave was hugging you because you know the past 10 years was erased, and you could tell that your character hadn't had that relationship properly with his dad. So
I know, poor guy has like the first two compassionate
well,
hugs
I
of his
think that's
life,
what
and
made
then
everything.
bites the bullet.
Yeah, it just made it so hard to watch, dude. That I think that's everything was teed up perfectly. It really was. It was masterfully done.
Well, that's what I was recently talking to Jeff about. I was like, man, you really twisted the knife on these poor fans, didn't you? Like, I mean, because it's just all adding up. He's meeting Courtney. It's like, it's all just starting. You're like, oh my God, this team is about to be crazy. And then, yeah, it's awesome, man.
And you know, obviously talking about the show and how well it's crafted, it feels like it's the perfect recipe for success. And honestly, just looking at multiple shows, this one really does, you know, from my perspective, you know, looking at them all, feel that way. And this is this is my last question, but this is also a very popular question from a lot of the fans. So I'm kind of pulling all of those people who said this into one, because a lot of them feel like there's a notable production difference between DC Universe shows and something like that of your typical CW superhero show. Nothing, no flack against any of them, just, you know, budget reasons or whatever. But how do you feel about the move of the production of Stargirl moving from DC Universe to the CW? And do you feel like it could impact the quality of the show in any way, shape, or form? I know Jeff is still on board. And will there be anything that you can offer your insight on that could change?
I know I have faith no matter what in the cast and Jeff, and like this is his baby. You know what I mean? Like he will not let anything taint it. So I personally think it's going to be completely fine. I think they're going to do an amazing job. I think one thing that works in their favor is a lot of the heroes are very practical. So I don't think you're going to see crazy, you know, cuts. Like you're not going to see like the budget cuts. I don't think they're going to be evident in my opinion. Like I really do think it's going to work out fine. And also just like looking back at it, a lot of the best episodes of the show are so character driven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some episodes that don't have too much action are still like very strong. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think specifically because they still have Jeff and that cast, like they're all still attached and they're all still down. It's going to be completely fine.
Yeah, I mean,
now, if they, you know, if they didn't have Jeff and they were just like kind of like, all right, it's just becoming a CW show, I might be a little worried. But because they have that core team still, I've got no worries.
Yeah,
you know? and look, I have no skin in the game, so I can say whatever I want here.
Yeah,
being, you know.
Totally.
I truly no worries.
I really appreciate that transparency as well. And you know, I still love myself the Flash and stuff like that. I could tell with the DC Universe shows from Titans and then Doom Patrol, there was this kind of, it's like DC came out of this new caliber almost, you know. I mean, a lot of those shows were more mature, but it's lucky that Stargirl from the get-go, it's always been something that could fit on the CW network because of its you know, it's got a different flavor compared to something like Doom Patrol, which is very mature, you know.
Right, and what's so interesting about Stargirl is it floats in tonality so perfectly.
Yes.
You know, like it's so charming.
Yes.
But then a kid's getting hit by a bus.
Yes. Or what happened to you?
Yeah, right, and that's what I'm saying. That's one thing I've always loved about the show is it has such a beautiful balance. You know, like it really, and that's one thing I was, I guess, kind of anxious about with like the death scene. Is that, you know, it's so whimsical. You got people behind bars clashing and using a staff. My dad and I are using telepathic powers, but that's just a fraction of what that scene is, you know? Like it doesn't overpower what that scene is. At the end of the day, that is a character-driven father-son scene. it just happens to be super badass.
Yeah,
with
and
everything going on.
it was
too.
like the darkest thing that's happened so far, I would say, just because, you know, we got to know Henry a lot more than the death in the first couple of episodes. And, you know, that kind of, I prefer more grittier shows, but Stargirl, it has, as you say, it's got this spectrum kind of, it goes all over the place in a very good way. And I love what Jeff Johns said. It's got this adventurous kind of ET spirit to it. And that's what's so charming about it as well. But it's not kid-like at the same time. It's so well done. So now for the questions from the viewers, and so this first one, this first one is from, and I just want to apologize to anyone if I butcher the names. This is from Basir Tarabi. So, what was his favorite moment to shoot, and who did you like working with the most? And he also hopes that you aren't dead. He had to include that in there.
Let's see. Favorite moment at shoot is a super, super tough tie because I got this question a few days ago.
Okay.
And now I've had time to think about it. It is just like a dead split between Henry's first outburst with Shiv and Courtney and Ito and Dr. Ito's lair.
Okay.
Those two were just some of my favorite moments to shoot because it was also like that was the first real time ever figuring out what the powers were going to be like. Like that really established the rest of the episodes for me. So as far as that goes, I mean, that's just like, it's a dead split for those two. It's too hard for me to like select one over. That's just too tough. You know what I mean?
I love that scene
and that's
though.
Just pure from like,
with Yolanda, like you know, flipping on the pillars, and you're like freaking like using the force. Courtney's going ham with the staff. Yeah. It's just, it was crazy. So well done.
Yeah, and what I loved about that scene specifically with Courtney is, you know, you hear a lot. It's like, well, what can she do without the staff? And that basically shut everyone up.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
As far as favorite person, I mean, people are gonna hate this answer, but everybody.
Yeah, I knew.
Literally,
I expected something like that.
To you know, separate one from the other, it's so difficult because like I'm telling you, we're with each other every day. Everyone's amazing, and if there was anyone I wasn't around too much, it was specifically because of scheduling, and even that, like everyone you cross paths with, and I think this kind of shows in the show, is there's just no egos, man. Like, and I think that was a real big specific plan for Jeff in general because he's very like he likes calm peace on set, like you know what I mean. But there's just no egos, you know, and that just makes everything so much easier. So yeah, I mean, for me, I hope he doesn't.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, everybody, you know, like yeah.
Next one's from L Train, and in what ways of playing Brainwave Jr. challenged you as an actor?
Every way.
Yeah, I suppose you did go from, you know, probably every range you could go through.
Yeah, and then what's also difficult is no one really knows what reading a mind looks like. You know what I mean? I think that was one of the crazy things that I've never done anything CGI, or I did The Walking Dead a few years back. I did Fear the Walking Dead a few years back, and that was the first time I did like green screen zombie stuff. But like I'd never done anything on the scale of Stargirl, because I mean Stargirl is basically, our production was basically like Wonder Woman or something. Like like the sets were just absurd, like and everything we had to interact with. So I'd say the absolute most challenging thing for me is reacting to nothing. Right. You know, like if you want to try to pull from emotion, you can sit with yourself enough to like kind of feel that and get there, and that's a little easier. But when it comes to like watching the pill levitate or the keys or having everything float around you, or like or mind reading and making sure you don't look too like, oh, what if you know what I mean? It's like and making sure that has like a solid balance, and like those were the hardest things for me.
When you're like doing, you know, when you're levitating the rubble, for example, I mean, you're obviously in the zone, you're acting, but you know, you must be almost dying to know what that looks like with the effects, because you must be insecure about it to a degree, even if you feel proud of your performance. But that just like gilded it, didn't it?
Oh man, well, and that's what's so crazy too, because I mean that's where it just comes down to putting your trust into, you know, everyone else. Like yeah, because I mean that hallway scene, you know, the lighting, the debris, the slashing, the powers, none of that's there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, obviously, I hate to I hate to call a cow in this situation, but I'm saying like none of that is there. So there is no wind picking up with you guys. There's not like it's literally just me in a hallway screaming at my dad and hoping it comes off, and it just they killed it. And one thing is I didn't know they were gonna do where it all stops in front of him and he's like looking at me through everything. Like there's so many choices they made I had no idea about that just took that whole ending to the next level.
They had that feelsy music in the background as well. They know how to hit you.
Oh God! And then the song. Man,
I literally
didn't know that song.
I went to Spotify.
I know the song.
I went to Spotify immediately afterwards to put it to my playlist because I actually hadn't heard that before.
So good. Yeah. I mean, well, that's one of the Callum Scott version of "Dancing on My Own" is one of my favorite songs ever from years ago. I thought it was kind of full circle for me because I've as a musician I've been covering that song for years.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was going to be the song they chose, so it's just kind of like that teared. Funny enough, that teared me up over everything else. Because it felt just like full circle as a career.
Yeah. The Judds. What was your first reaction when you found out that you were cast for such a role? Like literally when you first heard, was it a phone call? Was it like a?
Yeah. So it was actually such a crazy situation because you're actually the first interviewer I've ever told this situation, but it was a really interesting situation because it came down to I had to go meet with the label in New York that had already covered my trip and my stay the same day they wanted to test me for the role. And I'd already booked this flight months ago and they covered it and everything. So I couldn't just call them and be like, hey, this thing you planned, I can't come do it. You know what I mean? Like, and with testing and stuff, even if you test, you don't know if you're going to get it.
Yeah.
So I could have sacrificed an entire opportunity in a career path I love to not, and just sacrifice to do the thing. So I was like, listen, guys, I can't test until I get back. Like, if you guys can wait till then, if you can't, then I'm just going to have to pass. Like, it came down to that, and my agents there were just like, what are you doing?
God, that must have been such an anxiety inducing.
It was so tough too, man, because I had to come at peace with that. I had to eventually just be like, you know what, Jake, it's going to be okay. You know what I mean? You just you gotta do it, because I knew what was so difficult is I knew there's no reason both of these careers can't be basically be together, for lack of a better word. I knew I could do them both at the same time. It just sucked that I had to be put in the middle. And then basically what happens is I kind of let it go. I fly back in 3 days later and they call right when I get back in and they're like, hey, you got it. And I just oh my God, I lost. Oh my God.
And I could only imagine because I know how much that would mean to you because I know how passionate you are about, playing a superhero or any kind of comic book character.
Dude, when I tell you, it was literally as an actor, I've been very, very lucky to make a living off this and do some crazy cool characters. But superhero was always just number one, right?
Yeah.
That was dream role. You know what I mean? I figured maybe when I'm in my late 30s, I might get lucky and get a superhero role and just play that out until I can retire or something. That was always top tier.
Yeah.
To do it at 21 was just dude, I'm not gonna lie. It kind of messed with my head. I was like, well, where do I go now? You know what I mean? It's that was, because when that was number one, right? So I was just I don't even know what to do with myself for a minute. It was so weird. Now number one is Pirates or Cowboys. Now
yeah.
Now they're taking, that's the next one. But it was.
I was going to say, was it nerve-wracking, your first day? Some people just, I find it strange, they don't get anxiety at all. But obviously being an actor, some people obviously still do have anxiety and when going in to do stuff like that.
You know what, man? And I think this is another reason why this job is so full circle for me is I've been doing it for about 11 years now. And again, like I said, I've been so lucky to keep jobs and keep it going and make a living off of it. So what was so crazy is I think I was supposed to get this job exactly when I got it because everything I had been taught from other amazing actors and everything like that all kind of combined. And it was for the first time in my life, I was seeing what they were saying will happen as you get older in your career. So it was for me, all the anxiety was gone, all
Wow.
the worry was gone. Like first day on set was just like, this is home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I truthfully don't know if I would have given the performance for Henry or given him the performance he deserved had I gotten it a few years back. Like I think the time I got it was exactly when I should have got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Feels like everything's in alignment around that time of your life.
Yeah, exactly. It all just kind of, and it was just like I said, I was coming from a lot of emotional things in my life coming into this character. It all just kind of just meant to be, I just feel like it was just meant to be, man.
I've got a couple more left. So this one's from Ellie Nigma, and she says, what were you thinking, and how did you specifically prepare to get in the right mental state to perform that exact scene in the last episode? You truly sounded heartbroken, such an amazing performance, and I'm still not coping with it. And how did it feel to work with Baker and see him switch from a loving father to wanting to kill you? We've kind of touched upon that, but like you could expand upon that.
Yeah, well, as far as like getting there emotional wise, again, just for the sake of privacy, there's just certain things in my life that I can kind of start pulling from to build up that moment. And then there was also just like, knowing that's your last, that's it.
Yeah.
Knowing that like this cast I've been with for this amount of time, this is it. We're all about to, like, I'm done. I'm about to be done, So I think that too, and just the fact that when I'm saying bye to them, I'm also saying kind of bye to the cast, So it's like, it's also kind of a collective emotional parallel. And so I feel like that like, and it's weird because it's like kind of black out in those moments. Once they say cut, you just kind of don't know what happened for a second. But as far as Chris goes, I mean, dude's a god. I love that guy. So and like we were saying earlier, yeah, it was so funny one day going from us hugging and being so sweet, and the next day him crushing me under 1,000 rocks. But he's a rock star. He literally is like one of the coolest dudes ever. He's also in Ozark. I don't know if anyone, if you watch Ozark, he's amazing in Ozark. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He kicked ass in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sorry. I'm a big Chris fan. So I love the dude. Yeah, but it was amazing. I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about him. He's such a talented actor, and I learned so much from him. And yeah, he's awesome.
So Vegetable Entertainment Reviews asks, I mean, and this is a similar question, but who is your favorite character? Could you name a favorite character in Stargirl other than the title hero, and why? Or if you can't do that, because you obviously said earlier it's an even split, who would you choose to be? If you could not be Henry.
If I could not be Henry? Interesting. Ooh.
Could you be Wildcat? You could be Hourman.
I was just about to say, that's so funny. I was gonna say probably Wildcat. You know what I mean? Like I love Hourman. I do. I love his suit. Yeah, dude. I think I'd have to go with Wildcat. She's just like such a badass in the show. I mean, everyone's cool, but just like she's just so like she also gives me kind of Batman vibes, and like the original Wildcat, just like his original like messed up leather suit, and then how they've kind of like modernized it a little bit for her. I don't know. I just like the whole vibe of it, man. And she's just like she's sassy and stuff. I don't know. I think it Wildcat. Yeah, probably. So I go to. I bet we'll love that answer. Yeah, but yeah, Wildcat.
And the last question, and this is from Jewel Did. Do you have any other projects after Stargirl? Really liked you in the show, and looking forward to seeing you again. And I personally wanted to weigh on this as well, because I know, and as we've spoke about as well, you really focus on your music, which I gave a listen to. I love Company. It gives me. I don't know if you're a John Mayer fan.
Thank you.
But it really gave me John Mayer vibes. Yeah,
thank you. Man.
And obviously your most recent release is fantastic. So obviously you're doing your music.
Fitting, huh? Not okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you got your music, but is there any other projects, or you can talk about your music as well? You just released a song not so long ago.
Yeah, I think Stargirl fans are actually gonna like this. Luke and I did a movie right after Stargirl.
Oh.
Yeah, so we did this movie called I don't know what they're gonna end up calling it. I think it's either gonna be called 12 or the 12 or the 12 Mighty Orphans or whatever. It's basically about this this team in during the Depression.
Yeah.
was like this crazy good football team because they were coached by this guy named Rusty Russell, who was basically like one of the first coaches to create like widespread offense and do like passes and stuff for that time. And it's basically like a Remember the Titans sort of film. It's just like it's just gritty, and I mean these kids during this time were like smoking cigarettes and drinking on the bench before they went out and played games. And when they played games, their fingers were getting broken and they were losing teeth and stuff. I mean, this is like the third, and this is just a ragtag group of kids that you just, you know, you don't expect them to win anything because they're all scrawny and orphans and like, you know what I mean? And all these other schools are coming in and stuff. We're hoping, I hope it could holiday, but you know, obviously with COVID and stuff kind of changed things, but that's our next project. Luke and I star with each other. He plays the coach, and can't say who I play character's name, but I'm one of the football players.
Yeah. And did I spot that you were doing a I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Instagram, but you were filming a music video for your most recent one?
Yeah, I was just thank you for that. I was just gonna follow up. Yeah, I recently released a single called "Not Okay," which is very fitting for this episode. So if you want to cry, you can bump that and cry.
Definitely.
It's not a crying song, but at least you can dance and cry. But yeah, so that just came out. It's on Spotify, and maybe if you don't mind, I'll send you over like my Spotify link. So if they want to go listen, they can just click it.
Yeah, totally.
Right over.
Totally.
That'd be so amazing, man. If we could do that. And and so we're aiming to release the video hopefully this week or next week. So because we just got it done. It's nothing crazy, you know, just went and had fun. It's kind of hard to shoot things during COVID right now, but I think it'll be a blast. But yeah, and then working on an EP to release very soon as well.
Yeah, I think people will love it. I obviously gave it a listen. I was listening to some of it today. I think my favorite one is Company, personally. I really love the vibes in that one.
That's between you and me. That's one of my favorites too. I love it. I'm super. I mean, I'm biased. I love all songs, but yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites, man. Yeah, John. That's exactly what we're kind of going for. You know, we're kind of going for that new age John Mayer a little bit. That kind of like.
Definitely, yeah. So honestly, man, that is all of the questions. Thank you so much for going above and beyond to talk to me and answer all of them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think that is everything. Just thank you again, Jake. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, brother, man. This is so much fun.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Have a great rest of your day. I mean, you're probably getting to midday now, aren't you?
Yeah, 10:45, man. I'm happy I'm up this early. I'm doing something right today, so we're doing good. All
right, man. Well, I wish you the best of luck in the future with everything, and hope to see Henry maybe again one day with the evil arc. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe. I'll keep watching those reviews and breakdowns, man. I love them.
Appreciate it very much. All right, take care, dude.
All right, take care.
Bye. So for those of you who made it to this part in the video, I really, really hope you enjoyed that. It was an absolute blast, as you could tell. I feel like we got into all the questions that you guys would kind of want to know an answer to without making the interview like 2 hours. Of course, as well, we spoke about his music and his other projects going on. I will leave links to that in the top pinned comments. So if you guys have Spotify, you can literally just click on that link and it will take you to his page. I'll leave a link to his YouTube channel as well. Seriously, he's got some good stuff on there, live performances, and you know, Jesus, he is an insanely talented guy, amazing voice, and he's got that music video coming out soon. So I'm probably showing his Spotify page right now on the video. You're missing out if you don't check it out for yourself. And he's got some really wicked stuff coming out very, very, very soon. And as for the other announcement, guys, I am hosting an interview with Abigail Shapiro, who plays Dorothy Spinner on Doom Patrol Season 2. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of weeks. There'll be more information coming out on it in maybe my Doom Patrol reviews. But honestly, this was a great time. I've had a fantastic time. I really appreciate all of your support on this channel because, hey, if I didn't have an audience, then this wouldn't be really happening. So I'm really, really grateful for not only the interview, but you guys as well. Other than that, like the video. I'd really appreciate that. Share it with your friends. Anyone who's into Stargirl, they will really dig this. I'm sure they will. Check out his Spotify link. Just do it. What are you waiting for? And of course, I want to plug my Discord server. If you want to talk to me personally about Stargirl and things like this, all you have to do is click on that link, which is also in the top pinned comment. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you, Starlings, in the next video. Goodbye.